Hello again. The deals are coming thick and fast on this deadline day. Remember, you can tweet us at Mirror Football or at Mirror Darren, and of course you can email us at spy@mirror.co.uk if you want to get involved. But for the time being, this is James Nursey. He's our Midlands correspondent, and he's our man in the know up there. We're very pleased to have him join us on this final day of the transfer window. James, welcome.
Hi, Darren.
Lots of questions and bits of information for us to get through, but to kick us off, two Midlands clubs involved in a tug-of-war over the defender Liam Ridgewell. Tell us more.
Well, it's delicately poised, Darren. As you know, Birmingham have rejected two bids from Premier League West Brom for Ridgewell's services. He does want to go. He put in a transfer request in August when the club turned down several bids for him, but he's still anxious to get out of St Andrews.
Okay. What's your view on the business that Birmingham have done this January?
Well, they've sold Jean Beausejour to Wigan. They got a good deal for him. It was undisclosed, but I believe it was up to £4 million with add-ons. For a club like Birmingham with cash issues after relegation, that's a vital deal for them. It's now going to give Chris Hughton the firepower to go into the loan market and bring in two or three players. I'm hearing names like Lewis McGugan. He did try for Alan Smith, who's subsequently gone to MK Dons. Players of that ilk to add to his squad. Okay.
Now, James Morrison, the midfielder at West Brom, has been a bit unhappy over the last few days about what he describes as a lack of ambition by the club. Tell us more, James. You know a lot about this story.
Well, Darren, I was one of several journalists who interviewed James Morrison after West Brom's FA Cup exit at home to Norwich. And Morrison is quite a mild-mannered character, but he really gave a very frank interview in which he said, this club has great potential but never seems to build. He said if we do bring someone in, it will probably be someone I've never heard of. And he said that he actually didn't expect the club to do much, if any, business at all before the deadline. So it was a pretty damning indication of West Brom's ambitions.
Just out of interest, how's that going to go down with the fans?
Well, I think the fans will be behind it because it's putting the ball in owner Jeremy Peace's courts to do more deals. But of course, what he makes of it at the higher echelons of the club, I imagine he's not particularly impressed because he's the man paying Morrison's wages.
Absolutely. Now, Alex McLeish has brought in Robbie Keane at Aston Villa, but he said that there are going to be no more signings at the club this January, so no business before tonight's deadline. How has that gone down with the fans at Aston Villa? And also, do you think Villa should have brought someone else in?
Well, it hasn't gone down well, Darren. Let's not kid ourselves. West Villa like to consider themselves the biggest club in the Midlands and expect to behave as such. But aside from Keane, who has been a good signing, we're not expecting them to bring in anyone before the deadline passes. The fans are a little upset and restless, but owner Randy Lerner has been clear that he's got to cut the club's wage bill, so he's got good reasons for doing so. Okay.
Now Wolves, because Emmanuel Frimpong from Arsenal, has been a great loan signing. Got injured, but we expect him to come back and play for them. Any other signings before the deadline tonight?
I'd expect Mick McCarthy to bring in one or two players on perhaps short-term or loan deals. Players like Leon Best have been mentioned. I know he's gone for Nicky Maynard at Bristol City, who's an out-of-contract striker who I think would do a good job in the Premier League, but my information is Maynard's looking to run down his contract, become a free agent in the summer and get a more lucrative move to a bigger Premier League club.
Okay. Now you're watching the Football Spy Show, sponsored by our friends at the Car Giants. We've got some questions for James Nursey. He's our Midlands correspondent. Come down to have a chat with us on this deadline day. AA23 wants to know whether you think West Brom should sell the striker Peter Odemwingie before the deadline. Not being very prolific this season, 15 goals last year. What do you think?
Well, it's a sign of how Odemwingie's star's fallen. Last year he was the toast of the Hawthorns. Now fans and the club themselves are considering selling him. If anyone meets West Brom's price tag of £8 million, I expect him to go. But this is a player who's 31 this year, and only a club who's very desperate really going to pay that sort of money on transfer deadline day. So it's a possibility, but I think very slim. Okay,
we've got another question here from Kevin Wheatley 7, and he's asking whether you feel Aston Villa are going to sell Darren Bent before this transfer window closes.
Another one, Darren, that's been discussed for much of January. I think as we're approaching the deadline, I have to say it's highly unlikely Bent will go. There is interest in him from other clubs. He's obviously a proven international and Premier League striker, but Villa would be mad to sell him now because who are they going to get in to replace him, quite frankly? Sure.
Now, one more for you, because Alex is asking whether you think Roy Hodgson at West Brom is going to move for Damien Duff from Fulham, around about £1–2 million deal. We would expect that one to be.
I think there is interest there, and he's a player Hodgson would like, but whether he can get him before the window passes remains to be seen. Albion have lost Chris Brunt, who their talismanic captain who plays on the left. Duff would be an obvious replacement for him, but and I know Hodgson likes to sign players he's worked with previously, but getting him out of Fulham today, I think with 18 months left on his deal, is going to be difficult.
Okay, brilliant. James, really do appreciate you coming on and giving us a lowdown on all things Midlands. He's going to be with us throughout the evening on the phone, so any questions that you have for him, we'll put them to him. But thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us.
Pleasure,
on
Dan.
Football Spy.
Nice to see you.